This is a story that begins on a seemingly ordinary day, but ends in a way no one could have ever imagined. It's a case that has puzzled investigators for years, a tangled web of secrets, betrayal, and a plan so cold-blooded it's hard to believe. Today, we're diving deep into the tragic and shocking murder of Kristil Krug. It was May 2008, in the small, close-knit community of Gresham, Oregon. Life for Kristil Krug seemed pretty good. She was a dedicated mom, a loving wife to her husband, Michael, and a well-liked figure in her community. She had a passion for helping others and was known for her bright, infectious smile. From the outside, the Krug family looked like they were living the American dream. But as we so often learn in these stories, appearances can be incredibly deceiving. On May 21st, Michael Krug placed a frantic 911 call. He told the dispatcher he had just returned home to find his wife, Kristil, unresponsive. When paramedics arrived, they found a devastating scene. Kristil was on the floor, and it was immediately clear that she had been brutally attacked. Tragically, there was nothing anyone could do to save her. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The initial investigation was a blur of activity. Detectives descended on the Krug home, a normally peaceful suburban house now transformed into a major crime scene. They interviewed a distraught Michael, who seemed to be a grieving husband, completely shattered by the loss of his wife. He told police he had been out running errands and came home to the horrific discovery. He couldn't imagine who would want to harm Kristil. The community was in shock. Rumors swirled. Was it a burglary gone wrong? A random, senseless act of violence? Friends and family gathered to support Michael and the Krug children, trying to make sense of the unthinkable. Everyone described Kristil as a sweet, kind-hearted woman with no enemies. The question on everyone's mind was simple. Who would do this, and why? As investigators dug deeper, the initial theory of a random intruder started to crumble. There were no signs of forced entry into the house. Nothing of significant value seemed to be missing. This wasn't a robbery. The crime scene told a different story, one of targeted, personal violence. The attack was brutal, suggesting a rage-fueled motive, something deeply personal. This led detectives to look closer at those within Kristil's inner circle. Their focus naturally turned to her husband, Michael Krug. While he presented himself as a heartbroken widower, investigators began to notice cracks in his story. His timeline of events seemed a bit shaky. His alibi not quite as solid as he claimed, but they needed more than just suspicion. They needed concrete evidence, and that's when they discovered the first major secret. The Krug's marriage wasn't the picture-perfect union everyone thought it was. Friends and family, when pressed, admitted that there had been tension. The couple had been arguing, particularly about finances. Michael had recently lost his job, and the financial strain was causing significant stress in the relationship. Kristil was reportedly considering leaving him. This painted a very different picture of their home life and gave Michael a potential motive. But the case was about to get even more complicated. As detectives continued to scrutinize Michael's life, they uncovered something even more shocking. Michael Krug wasn't just having financial problems. He was living a double life. He was having an affair. And not just any affair. He was involved with a woman named Candace Anderson, a former co-worker. Suddenly, the classic love triangle motive came into sharp focus. Was this a crime of passion? Did Michael want to get rid of his wife so he could be with his mistress? When police interviewed Candace, she admitted to the affair but initially denied knowing anything about the murder. She claimed she believed Michael was going to leave his wife for her. But as the pressure mounted, her story began to change. The real breakthrough came when investigators started looking into the lives of Candace Anderson's family, and what they found blew the case wide open. They learned that Candace had a brother, Travis, who had a troubled past. They also discovered another key player, Travis's friend, a man named Michael Matson. Could these individuals be connected to Kristil's death? Detectives started pulling phone records, and what they found was a flurry of calls and text messages between Michael Krug, Candace Anderson, Travis Anderson, and Michael Matson in the days and hours leading up to the murder. The communication patterns were highly suspicious. It looked less like a spontaneous act of rage and more like a carefully coordinated plan. The pieces of the puzzle started to fall into place. Investigators developed a new, chilling theory. This wasn't a simple love triangle murder. This was a murder for hire plot. They believed Michael Krug, desperate to get out of his marriage without a costly divorce and wanting to cash in on Kristil S.'s life insurance policy, had orchestrated a hit on his own wife. Here est what they believed happened. Michael Krug promised to pay Michael Madsen to carry out the murder. He enlisted his mistress, Candace, and her brother, Travis, to help facilitate the plan. The idea was to make it look like a random home invasion. On the day of the murder, Travis Anderson allegedly drove Michael Madsen to the Krug residence. While Michael Krug made sure he had a public alibi, running errands around town, Madsen entered the home and attacked Kristil. With this theory in hand, police moved in. Michael Krug, Candace Anderson, Travis Anderson, and Michael Madsen were all arrested and charged in connection with Kristil's murder. The arrests sent another shockwave through the community. The idea that Kristil's own husband, along with 3 other people, had conspired to end her life was almost too monstrous to comprehend. The subsequent legal proceedings were complex and emotional. Each defendant tried to shift blame to the others. Michael Madsen, the alleged hitman, confessed to his role, providing a gruesome account of the crime. His confession was a critical piece of evidence against the others. He detailed how he was hired and what happened inside the Krug home that day. Candace Anderson eventually agreed to cooperate with prosecutors in exchange for a lesser charge. She testified against her lover, Michael Krug, and her own brother, Travis. Her testimony was damning. She laid out the entire plot, confirming that Michael Krug was the mastermind who wanted his wife dead so they could be together and he could collect the insurance money. In the end, justice was served, but it came at a terrible price. Michael Madsen was convicted of aggravated murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Travis Anderson was also found guilty for his role in driving Madsen to the scene and was sentenced to a long prison term. Candace Anderson, for her cooperation, received a more lenient sentence but still faced time behind bars for her part in the conspiracy. And what about the man at the center of it all? Michael Krug, the husband who cried crocodile tears and pretended to be a grieving victim, was convicted of aggravated murder. He was sentenced to life in prison, ensuring he would never be free to harm anyone again. The judge called his actions pure, unadulterated evil. The murder of Kristil Krug is a heartbreaking reminder of how darkness can hide behind a familiar face. It's a story of greed, betrayal, and the ultimate deception. Kristil was a vibrant woman with a full life ahead of her. A life that was stolen by the very person who had vowed to love and protect her. Her children were left without a mother, her family and friends left with a wound that will never fully heal. It's a chilling tale that serves as a cautionary warning. We often think we know the people closest to us, but sometimes the most dangerous secrets are the ones hidden in plain sight. Kristil's story is a tragedy, but her memory lives on through those who loved her. And the pursuit of justice in her name ensures that the people responsible for this heinous act were held accountable. Thank you for joining me today to explore this incredibly sad and complex case. If you found this story compelling, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into true crime mysteries. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.